The Phoenix Realms is the hybrid existence of rebirth. Rebirth being the equivalent of dying in the mind, or better expressing the self-separation to quantum factors, and then a reaccumulation of persona rebirthed into a new persona. A reverse supernova effect. The self is capable of looking externally both in the obvious external world and the world within in external ways. Like a world within and seeing through those eyes within at that world in external sight. Rebirth is the quantum factor of accumulating enough information to achieve actual death, however still in living form. There are times when individuals experience rebirth and aren't able to reaccumulate themselves in natural ways to allow their persona to redevelop in ways of becoming alive again, hence to be rebirth into life. Those individuals can be described as persons who aren't whole. They seem detached from reality in ways of being non-responsive. Depression is a micro-factor if phases either before rebirth or the intensely slow process of going through rebirth. This is why thought forms are distant, and to be themselves seems distant as well. This is why reflections of gloominess and darkness is appealing to that individual, is because it is symbolic in the nature of being distant and separated. However, delight in separation has its very graphic thin line, and this can cause an error in reaccumulating to see the light at the end of the tunnel rather than live in joy of being blind. However, the individual can still be in this expressive blindness, but the obvious truth is to see the self bloom and flourish, not relish and live in separation. It's essentially abuse in the ways of going through the rebirth process. These individuals are, quote, the sickos and the criminals. The creative expressors of this, quote, art are more beneficial in their expressive ways. This is where the music nature behind metal is exposed, and to the lengths of black metal to depressive black metal. The expression of the realization of being separated from either reality or themselves long enough to see the philosophy of both their world and this world, which is limitation, starvation of the soul to not see the world as it should be, free and prosperous. And they reflect on how others do not see this, and reflect on how others are blind, justifiably so. It is a unique symbolism of the reflection of the world that they see both in honesty and in their mind unique ways of depth expression. The Phoenix Realms is the realm of reflections to the extent that rebirth is not so much as an acceptance at any time to grow and expand. It is mostly the being of rebirth at any time in realization, naturality. The living essence and being of being a phoenix per se. Of course, the individual upon discernment in ways of being is who this individual is in phoenix form, and who this individual reacts to, that is a phoenix waiting in that individual's next realization. That could be a rebirth process. Usually this is how it occurs. The dynamics of thought process are exceptional in the ways of verifying intense amounts of information at accurate and in ultimate formulas and values of discernment within seconds to at times instances. This way of being at any time can cause rebirth. This is essentially being amongst the phoenixes, because the individual at a point where they are always growing despite the ideals of wanting to stick with what works, that is an entirely absent thought process, and that in the process of an evolutional ways in expression and understanding and exploring the self and realizations in that individual's life that reflect their own eternity and reflect eternity. The Phoenix Realms is the extent of rebirth, but it is also the cycle of rebirth until one is able to take Phoenix form. Phoenix form is full, eternal being. Eternity is an expression and also a process of going through rebirth until one is capable of being. Without rebirth, the lifespan of that person becomes predictable in the way of commonality factors. Instead of living in the mystery of eternity, it is more based on a controlled system of thoughts, comfort zones, states of minds, stalemate states of minds, and so on and so forth. The cycle is broken. The cycle has to be broken to grow after all. Adaptation is infinite and extremely wise to live without adaptation rather than the process of I'll change later. Eternity does not wait, nor does a phoenix for not too long within an individual. Phoenix is metaphorical in some ways, however, in realizations, I'm sure that you have had the feeling and the almost presence of a phoenix. As if to explode in inspiration, to explode in excitement. That is the reverse supernova effect. In the Phoenix realms, you are capable, but more in naturality ways, in exploring your depths, no matter how deep they are and how mystifying they are. You are a guide, an ultimate flowing guide. It is perhaps the most sentient way of being, because in Phoenix form, when you do come to the explosive realization, when you are a part of infinity, whether it is the external infinity or the one within, or both, the fourth eye is awakened, and at that point, you see the eternity within the eternity within, the universe within the universe within. You see it externally as well. That is the Phoenix being lived. That is the guide within in full discernment. This takes quite some time. Experiencing everything naturally, however, allows the Phoenix to gently be embraced. Rebirth, death of the mind, this occurs because of structural thought. Structural thought is meant to be changed. It's not permanent. How can it be when eternity exists? How can a set way of thinking be permanent when eternity exists? The Phoenix is symbolic with eternity and manifested form. And does it ever present so many ways to us? Realization, perhaps the greatest feeling that anyone could ever feel, but it is a part of the eternal equation, and the Phoenix realms is the eternal eternity of being, and in that realm you are in the presence of beings that are eternal. When you discover eternity, you're not going to discover you're alone. After all, it's eternity. And within eternity, there are eternal beings there. I do not say this is metaphorical, because we do feel presences even on our chakras. The universe is not absent of such beings. Nebulas, galaxies, these beautiful sceneries we are familiar with, they are not absent in intelligence, and they commune with us in various ways, but only with who that are, yes, truly ready. In the Phoenix realms, you are a part of eternity, part of your eternity and the eternity. You are the Phoenix, and in all your uniqueness that you are, that Phoenix defines you as you define that Phoenix.